What did your family, who's seen the film, what did they think of it?
Well, my parents saw it at Sundance for the first time, and my dad was in the audience, and people knew that they were there, so someone said, "So, Mom, Dad, what do you think?" My dad was like, "It's pretty good," which is like an Asian A+.
Well, ArcLight Hollywood, what did you think of this wonderful, wonderful movie? Alright, so before we get started here, so of course you all know Rotten Tomatoes. And this film is right now, it's at 100%. Not as 99% stuff, like 100% certified fresh. But, breaking news, hot off the presses. So, the Farewell premiered at the Sundance Film Festival this year. So it opened this weekend in 4 theaters, 2 in New York, 2 in LA, this being one of them, best theater in the world. So, so it grossed a total of these 4 theaters, $351,000 in 4 theaters. Now hang on, it's all about the per theater average. The per theater average for this movie is $87,833. Keep the applause going because this is the highest per theater average of 2019. Wait for it. Beating Avengers Endgame. Big applause. Please welcome the writer and director of The Farewell, Lulu Wang. Ovation here.
On a Sunday night.
On a Sunday night. What does it feel like for you to have this kind of reaction, not just from like the critic types and from people going to film festivals, but from just now that it's out there for the world to see, to get this kind of reaction?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I feel like everyone's cheering for me. Really, they're really just cheering for Nana and little Nana up there, and their own grandmothers, because I think people just love their grandmas.
But this is a film that people are relating to,
yeah,
and this is a film that is also opening a lot of eyes about different cultures, and just the notion that people are not being told the bad news until they absolutely positively have to is just something that was really enlightening, because that's not something that I'm certainly used to. Tell us why and how you were able to convey that throughout the film without being overt about it.
The concept of the film? Well, I think I wanted to put the audience in an immersive experience, in the same kind of experience that I went through. And so, Billy is our conduit. She's the vessel through which we experience this family and go through this journey. And so I didn't, I didn't want to explain everything up front. Like, I sort of, the way that I learned about all of this was peeled back like an onion, little by little. And so I wanted the audience to have that same experience of, starting out being as livid as Billy is about this lie, and little by little, coming to a greater understanding.
So when you were developing the screenplay based on an actual lie, was this something, because it was so autobiographical for you, so personal to you, was it something that came easy, or was it still like something where you agonized over every word of the screenplay?
It was easy in some ways because I knew the characters so well, and so it was a lot easier for me to not compromise on this because I knew what I felt and I knew who these people were, and because I had to do justice to them, to my family, it was a lot easier for me to say no. Whereas I think if I was a fictional film, I would go, well, I gotta get it made, so I guess, maybe they're right. But this time, with this, I knew, I just knew the characters, I knew the story. It was a lot harder because I felt torn between my responsibility to the film itself as a piece of art, to exploring truths, and but also torn between that and my responsibility to my family to respect them. And sometimes you can't do both at the same time. In order to explore certain truths and reveal things and be honest about characters, I may portray my family in a way that I don't think is negative, but they themselves might be self-conscious. And so I was always trying to balance between that.
Well, in terms of compromise, how hard was it, and what were the challenges that you faced to stay true to your vision for what this film was going to be, especially when it came to getting other people involved with getting the film made?
Yeah, so I started pitching this as a film pretty early on, before I had done This American Life or anything. I wrote a version of the script and started talking to producers. And the question I would always get was, is this an American film or a Chinese film? And who's the market? And I would say, well, I'm American, so I think it's an American independent film. But I do want to cast it in a way that reflects my real family, and I want the language to reflect my real family. And they would say, oh, so subtitles? Well, then it's not an American film. So then I went and talked to some Chinese investors, and I said, I can't get it made over there. Do you guys see a way to get me to get this made? They were like, we love the story, but if it's a Chinese movie, the main character can't be Billy, because her perspective is too Western, and Chinese audiences are not going to resonate. And so you have to she could maybe be a friend, but the protagonist has to be a Chinese person who is deeply rooted in the Chinese values and doesn't think this is crazy at all, and maybe Billy comes to learn. And I was like, yeah, I can't tell that story. And so I felt like there was no place for the story or for my voice, and that's when Neil Drumming at This American Life approached me, and he himself is a filmmaker, and he said, give me all the stories that Hollywood's not letting me make, and do you have anything? Because he saw a short film and said, I love your voice. Tell me other stories. So I said, oh, it's funny you should ask. I have a story about my grandma, and it got set up at This American Life. And then 48 hours later, I started getting all these phone calls and emails and tweets from producers, being like, hey, this would make a great movie. As a matter of fact, I have.
Finally, right? So when it came to finding the right producers who saw what you saw, and were going to be absolutely we're all on the same page, how hard was that?
Well, and at that point, I guess this is why people in Hollywood keep talking about IP, because there's value in it, because it was now seen as a piece of IP, so it was proven, in the world, and also because so many producers were calling me, I was then able to do it on my own terms. I got to interview producers and say, I'm not going to make this film. I said before we even took the meeting, yes, it's going to be in Chinese. Yes, it's going to be subtitled. It's going to be 100% Asian cast. Not going to compromise on that. You still want to meet. And, of course, Chris Weitz at Doug the Field and Andrew Miano and everyone at Big Beach were like, why would you not ask? Of course. We love the story. We want you to, do it in your vision. But I said, well, before I had these meetings, so I was really shocked. But, I had multiple meetings, and these were the producers who really supported my vision, and that's who I got to choose.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how amazing is Awkwafina in this movie? Right? And that is an Oscar-worthy performance. I mean, she's phenomenal. How did you come to cast her in this movie?
Well, this was before Crazy Rich Asians, and it was before Ocean's 8 came out. She had shot them. They weren't out in theaters yet. So I knew of her through a video you may all know called My Vag. And so my producer said, have you considered Awkwafina for this role? I thought, well, first of all, isn't she Korean American? I thought we talked about this. It's got to be someone Chinese. They've got to speak Chinese. And also, the girl that did My Vag, that's who you think should play me in a dramatic movie? I'm confused. And she was like, no, just meet with her. She read the script. So Awkwafina and I sat down at coffee, and she said she was raised by her Chinese grandmother. Her mother was Korean, but her mother passed away when she was 4. So she really connects a lot more with her Chinese heritage because of her grandma. And then she sent in a self-taped audition. And she's like, I don't know I'm good at this. I'm going to send you this audition, and you tell me. And I, had low expectations, to be honest, because I hadn't seen it before, right? But I watched that tape, and I immediately knew she was the one. because she was able to express herself without even saying any lines on the tape. She was often listening, and there was someone reading lines with her off camera, and you could just see that she was processing all of these conflicted emotions, and you could see it on her face. And it's so wonderful to that she's able to both have a blank expression, but also be full of expression at the same time. I think it was really challenging. So
she's phenomenal. And the other thing that really adds to this immersive experience of the movie is the dynamic, the chemistry among this cast. It's really felt like a real family. But you're using actors, and you're actually using real family members too. How did you decide to sort of mix it up like that?
Well, the real family member is Lulu Wang. That is my great aunt. She plays herself in the movie.
She's pretty good.
She's very good. She's, and as I told her she would be. But she's not an actor at all. She at first was like, please don't cast me. I'm going to ruin your movie. I just don't want to be responsible for ruining your movie. She's like, she's like, I have a fat face and I'm a normal person. I should not be on the screen. I was like, your face is adorable. Also, I want to cast Ellen in the movie, and Ellen won't sing for anyone else, so you have to be in the movie. And then we also don't have to pay for an animal wrangler. And also, there's no other singing dogs in all of China. So she agreed to be in the movie, and I decided to cast her pretty early on because she was the one who instigated the lie in real life. And she carried the burden, and she's one of the main reasons I wanted to tell this story, because she's someone I love so much and I respect, and I have a lot of sympathy for, because she's had to take care of my grandma because her sons weren't around. And yet I strongly disagreed with this decision. And so she was the main reason why I just wanted to understand why this was being done, because I knew that she's not a bad person. She loves her sister. She would never do anything harmful for her sister. And so casting her in the movie allowed me to, continue asking these questions, and the actors to ask these questions, and kept everyone really, really grounded, and made sure, every scene was as authentic to her as it was to me.
The other, so many scenes in this movie, but the one that really struck me as a perfect example of the point I'm going to make is the fine line that the film does walk between being a heartfelt family drama and something that's funny. And how were you able to maintain that through line without it having to veer too far into a broad comedy, and not pulling back the humor where there's just no levity whatsoever?
Yeah, so when the actors saw the movie for the first time at Sundance, afterwards they all came up to me and they were like, it was a comedy, it's really funny. I had no idea while we were shooting it that it was going to be a funny movie. I was like, well, that was intentional, I never direct my actors towards comedy. And even on the page, when I was writing the script, sometimes the producers would say, I thought we were making a comedy, should we punch it up a little, make it a little funnier? And I think the humor for me, it wasn't about jokes and it wasn't about gags. And I was also okay if, I am okay if people don't laugh. I think that humor so often is about perspective. And so I convey that perspective through camera. The camera, based on where the camera is placed, and as we pull back and we see context, it's all about the juxtaposition of different things going on that creates this sort of absurdist humor. And I think it's very much like in real life. Some, multiple people can be in the same room watching the same thing, and some people might laugh and some people might not. And so yeah, I don't mind. And we were talking about this earlier. I read somebody tweeted that they were like, the movie sucks because the director, the funny scenes weren't funny enough because only half the room laughed. The other half of the room were crying. So, it needed to be clear. And to me, I'm like, no, that's brilliant. I love it when people laugh in really awkward places and they're not, and then they immediately, you see them, they're like, they laugh and they're like, because that's me, at the wedding when my uncle was crying, I was like, guys, he was the one who told me that, and now he's, no? And I'm looking around and no one else thinks it's funny. I'll be laughing.
Well, it was funny. How many of you like at that moment, started to laugh and then sort of like went, "I allowed to laugh," and went around the room? I mean, that's certainly the reaction that I had. But I'd love to open up to the audience for questions, and that was fast. So since you're first, and since you're in the front row, you get the microphone.
Thank you. Well, congratulations, first of all. That was phenomenal. My question is, it's two parts. Your film felt very authentic and timeless. Were there any specific films that inspired you? And just with the unanimous praise of this and back-to-back Palme d'Ors coming from Japan and Korea respectively, how excited are you about this Asian cinema renaissance that's been going on?
Great questions.
Thank you. I had a lot of influences, I guess. Mike Lee is a really big influence for me because a lot of very dry and darkly funny movies involving families. Ruben Östlund, Lucas Moodysson. I love the Northern Europeans, especially for this film. I think because it's very cold in those places, and in Changchun, it's near North Korea. It's very cold, and yeah, I think people who live in cold places have a dark sense of humor because they need it to survive. And yeah, I think it's really thrilling that there is so much Asian American representation. I do have to say though that there still is a huge difference between Asian films and Asian American films because most of the Asian Americans I talk to, I think we primarily think of ourselves as Americans, and so I think that sometimes those things can get conflated of there's a lot of Asian faces, and so it's we're not the same. There's a difference between Asians and Asian Americans, as this film shows, because so often I go back to China and I watch those movies and I don't get it, or Chinese people might see this film and have a different perspective. And so it's exciting to just, I guess, have this sort of very broad spectrum of Asian Americans, Asian British, Asian New Zealanders, what have you, and so that we can just really see the full spectrum of the diaspora.
What did your family, who's seen the film, what did they think of it?
Well, my parents saw it at Sundance for the first time, and my dad was in the audience, and people knew that they were there, so someone said, "So, Mom, Dad, what'd you think?" My dad was like, "It's pretty good," which is an Asian A+.
Yes, you, white shirt.
It was great. I'll say it like everyone else, but I have a question about the soundtrack because that was such an integral part of mirroring the emotions, but it's so heightened. So how did you go about scoring the film?
The score on the soundtrack. Yes.
Yeah, Alex Weston is amazing. He's the composer of this, and we talked about, he works with Philip Glass, he's classically trained, and I wanted to work with him to do a traditionally classical score, but instead of instruments, instead of an orchestra, it would just all be vocals. Because the vocals for me, the choir, was inspired by Greek tragedies and Greek choirs, and this idea of a community of voices, a society of voices, the voices of her family and the pressure that they're chasing after her, and the weight of these voices, and then mixed in with the soloist that represents her, because so much of the film is about individualism versus collectivism and the struggle between those two poles. Yeah, and then there's a Leonard Cohen song in there that I've had since the very, very beginning because I've just always loved his music, and especially in his later years, his music became very spiritual, even more spiritual than it has in the past as he got older, and he died around the same time that I was developing the film. So I always felt like it was like Leonard Cohen was watching over me.
Yeah, so in the film, you're, Diana's given, or the family's told the bad news. And you're watching the movie and you expect something to happen by the end of the film. And then you get to that last moment and everyone is just so happy and there's so much joy, oh, it's such a great, way to end the film. How early did you make that decision to really just hold all that back until right at that moment?
Pretty early on, for me it was always this, push and pull where the movie isn't about telling her. I think, and there was a little bit in the development process of like, well, something's got to break. Like, she's got to find out. That's an obvious thing, right? Or she goes to the hospital, or we need something dramatic to happen. I was like, no, the like climax, the drama is that there is no drama, and that's really difficult to convey when you're developing a script, in Hollywood and with producers and everything who like I said, completely supported my voice, but they were like, the drama is that there is no drama. Yeah, that might not work. I was like, but I'm trying. That's what I was going for. Was that for Billy, it's that she needs that catharsis. That's very Western to be like, I need a goodbye. I need this like big moment. But the big moment is her own realization that we don't want a big moment. And there is not going to be a big moment. And so the question for her is, how do you say goodbye when you are not given this catharsis? It's something so personal, internal to each character.
Cool. Okay, another one in the front row. And yes, you get a microphone too.
Great movie. Fun fact, my sister was in the Upper West Side screening when the blackout happened, when Awkwafina was doing Q&A, so hopefully, not today. 2 questions. One is, what was the direction you gave them in that scene when they're all like walking out away from the hospital? Because that was the scene where I was like, am I supposed to laugh? Because I'm like, I think it's funny, but they're sort of serious. And then the second one was, you talked about compromises and how, I've seen another Q&A of yours where you talked about how like the actors sometimes bring their own personalities, and Awkwafina is different from you. So was there a point where like one of the actors or something was like, oh, what if we do this? And because you know the characters so well, you were like, absolutely not, or something.
I'll start with the second question. No, I would say that I never said absolutely not. I think, it was always a conversation about why that choice, right? The only time I think I would push one actor a different direction was Nai, because Gàosù Tā is incredibly sweet and kind, and she was being so, because it's based on my own grandmother, she was so precious with the role, and so everything was like very sweet and kind. I was like, that is not my grandma. You need to let go of that and just like dig into her. And then she would do it, and I'd be like, more. She'd be like, more? More. Just like you have no patience, you are bossy. And once she got that, by the end of the shoot, she was like, I don't want to leave this character. It was so good, And then, the walk, I didn't necessarily go for humor necessarily, but I did think of The Godfather, because it was like this family pulling off the secret, and so we for the longest time just called it the gangster walk, the family gangster walk, and the producers were like, well, as we were developing, the question was like, well, what's the payoff, right? Like, they did this thing, they pulled off the lie, like, what's the like conversation, what's the moment? I was like, it's just gonna be a gangster walk. It's slow motion. That's it.
On that moment, the scene with the bowing, where she's like, praying for everybody, like, but how is it filming that scene? Because that also felt really unique and definitely genuine.
I love filming that scene. It was really difficult. I did not think we'd get it in like as few takes as we did, because it's all a oneer. And we put smoke cookies in front of them so that there was all that smoke, and so it was horrible. It was really hot, and it just was. And I gave very few directions. I just said, you're all bowing, but not at the same time. It kind of not because And then we did like 3. Oh, and Little Nai kept missing her line. Poor woman. Because there was so much bowing, and then she's the one who's like, oh, we're so bowing. And every time we do the whole thing, we get to her, and I'd be like, Diana, shit! We'd have to like do the whole thing over again because it was a water. So she got it by like the 3rd or 4th take.
Okay, question. Yeah, you right there.
Yep. Was there all that like Nai knows that's just going on with the lives and her family feel comfortable?
I had that question too, so it's possible. She could know. I didn't intentionally put that in there necessarily, but it is this sort of open-ended thing because, she is pretty smart.
Okay, yes, right there. Nice and loud.
So with your family, the 6-year wedding lie, is that
yeah, they're still married, so. Bring it all together.
Perfect wedding, perfect marriage. Yes, you're waiting right there. Yes, you.
Hi, Lulu. Thank you so much for making this movie. I'm Korean American. I grew up in Ohio in the 1970s, so that was pretty challenging. I was told to go back to where I came from, even though I was born in America. So I'm wondering, I look around this audience, and it's a lot of non-Asians coming to see this movie. And when I was growing up, I would have never imagined a movie like this getting this kind of crowd. So I'm wondering, when you were making this film, did you imagine that you would have this kind of response?
I just want to repeat the question. So the movie's really just crossing, cultures. It's not just for like Asians and Asian Americans. Like it's for everybody. Did you envision that it would cross over like this?
Well, my producers are not Asian, and so, when they resonated with the story of This American Life, I thought, okay, maybe there's that potential. I got a lot of emails after I did that radio show from people from all over the world saying that their family had done the same thing, and they were not necessarily Asian. But as I was making the film, one thing I did, and it took me a really, really, really long time to get here, was that I intentionally set out to make a movie from a position of a non-marginalized person. Because I think that if I thought of myself as a marginalized filmmaker, artist, human, then the film would come out differently. And we're so used to being marginalized and otherized, but that comes from the perspective of someone else. In my family is not other. My family is not in the margin, Thank you. And so I love them, and they're my entire world. And so I had to tell the story from a person who is at the center of the world, and my grandmother is at the center of the world, and she's not an Asian grandmother. She's not a Chinese grandmother who's foreign. She is everything. And so I think that probably helps, right? Because yeah.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, so now that you've seen the film, so please spread the word, and the best way to do that, as you know, is social media. So go on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on Twitter, you in the back if you're still using MySpace, whatever works. But please do spread the word about the farewell. And ladies and gentlemen, writer, director, Lulu Wang.
Thank you.